Welcome to Daily Life Connection. Thanks for joining me again today. Today I want to talk about God the Star Caller. God the Star Caller. There's a lovely verse in Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 26. It says this, Look up to the heavens. Who created all the stars? He brings them out like an army, one after another, calling each by its name. Because of his great power and incomparable strength, not a single one is missing. He calls the stars by name. You know, we can get sometimes so theological about God and technical about God and the attributes of God that sometimes I think we just need to stop and stand in awe at the immensity of our God, at the awesomeness of our God. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about God, the Star Caller, the one who calls out every star by name. I know there is something to me very exciting about that, because we need to understand that even in our galaxy, there are literally billions of stars in our one little galaxy. And then we know that there are billions of galaxies out there. It is so far beyond our comprehension that we can't even, it just makes your head hurt, doesn't it, when you try to think about all of that and the vast distances of space between all of these stars and these galaxies. And it says that God calls them out, and that God has a name for every one of them. Every one of the billions, trillions of stars in the universe, God has named them. Now, we human beings have tried to do that too. We look at particular stars and we say, "Oh, there is," and NX 732, or most of the names that we give to the stars are not very poetical or lyrical. They're just very technical and scientific. But God isn't looking at the stars just as a scientist. He's looking at he's looking at them as the well, excuse me, as the one who created them. He is the creator of them. And he cares enough about those stars to give them a name. And it says not one of them is missing. Not one is left unnoticed by God. Just amazing, isn't it? You know, there's a wonderful song out by Hillsongs. I think it's called So Will I. And one of the lines in it says, "And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. And the vapor of your breath, the planets form. If the stars were made to worship, so will I." And I guess really today that's all I really want to say in this little talk is when we look at the stars. I'd encourage you to go out tonight and just raise your eyes up and look at the stars, realizing that we can see just an infinitesimally small fraction of the stars in the sky, and recognize God has named every one of them. He calls them by name. He loves them that much. You know, I watched a vet show here the other day about a vet out in the farmlands. And some people have herds of cattle, and they're cattle. They just have them for milking or for beef or whatever. But then there are others who really, really care about their herd, and they name them. And this vet was saying, he said, for so-and-so, these are more than just commercial cattle. These are they care about each one of these and have given them names. And I thought, that's interesting, and that's our God. And he cares so much about stars. I mean, billions and trillions of stars out there beyond what the human eye can see. It's only been in the last 100 years or two that we've been able to see with Hubble Space Telescope and so on, the incredible formations out there. And God had already named them. They aren't just creation to him. They aren't just a flock of stars or a herd of stars. He cares about every one of them enough to give it a name. God, the star namer, the star caller. That's the God that I want us to sometimes just fall before him in awe. And just, I don't try to understand. There's times when we just, I think, need to say, I'm not going to try and understand who you are. I'm just going to be here in awe before who you are, before who I see you to be in the stars, and just in his awesome presence. That's what I want to encourage us to do today. Think about God, the star namer, the star caller, and realize that's the God who created us. That's the God that loves us. And we'll talk again tomorrow. God bless.